welcome to the Esports Report. This is your host, Will Nix, and his co-host, Ashley Hodge. Welcome to the Esports Report. This is your host, Will Nix, with his awesome co-host, Ashley. Ashley, how you doing?
I'm doing really good. I actually just got back from LA. I was out there with the Riot Games, which was very exciting.
Unfair. I just got back, Ashley. I was supposed to be back a long time ago, but I was in quarantine in New York City.
Oh no!
For 10 days.
Oh no! What did you do during all that time? I would have lost it.
Mario Kart? I may be the grand champion at Mario Kart now. I've kicked 3 of my players off the team to play myself. I'm taking on everybody. I'm kidding. No, I played a lot of Mario Kart, played a lot of movies, watched all of Star Wars and all of the internet. I read Facebook 4 times. I read it, the whole thing.
I'm so sorry that you guys got quarantined, but I am glad that you're safe and that you feel better, right?
I do. Yeah, we were both sick there for a little bit, but my son and we're home. We got to see one show and then got put in lockdown, and it was crazy.
Hey, do you want to tell the peeps why you guys were out there?
My son was going to be singing at Carnegie Hall and did not happen because he got put in lockdown the next morning. So shout out to my son, who is an amazing talent. And if you want to see him, come to our theater here in Pickens County and watch him do a little shop of horrors. He's gonna be awesome. I can't sell him enough. The kid's great.
So what you guys have gotten from this is we've both been very busy, and I don't even know what time zone I'm in anymore.
Oh my gosh, you were out there with Riot, getting us jobs, as I like to say. Hi, Riot. We'll take them. All right, so I have some good news before we start our show, before we get to our interview.
Okay.
We are now, I was doing some numbers. Shout out to our guy, Brad Williams out there. We're up to 161 schools now. And it's time. It's time, GHSA. It's time. Divide us. Give us classifications. There's a ton of us competing now. It's only fair. It is only fair to divide us.
I would love, as a small school, not to go against a 6A school. That would be great. Our interview tonight's with Forsyth County Schools, and our viewers and listeners know how I feel about Forsyth County Schools or as Play VS once called them, Forsyth County Schools during the championship. So I have nothing against the kids, the coaches, anyone out there. Competitively, I always just want to beat them. That's how it goes. So I look forward to this. Today we have an interesting interview. We have PK Graff with us, right, PK? Yeah. A commissioner of esports, a nonprofit esports.
Yeah, he's going to talk to us about his league, and he's going to help us not, mispronounce the one league that we always mispronounce all the time, the National Scholastic Esports Federation. I think I got it. Oh, Ashley, I did it. And he's going to talk about his Georgia version.
It's just it's a hard name for me to remember. It's probably not hard for other people. It's just hard for me to remember.
Look, we have a hard time getting play verses right. They're play VS, they're play verses. As Aaron has said, they are play verses, but at least they have a catchy name. We got to work on, tonight with PK, we're going to talk about branding. No, I'm kidding. We're just here to have some fun with him, and I look forward to interviewing him in just a minute. Folks, we'll be right back with PK Graff of the Georgia Scholastic Esports Federation. Welcome back to the Esports Report, folks. We're here with PK Graff. PK, how's it going?
What's up? Just living the life, doing the video game thing.
Doing the video thing. I like it. We do the video game thing sometimes.
We try to.
We say occasionally, So, PK, tell us about you and your league, bud.
Yeah, so I am the Commissioner of Gaming for GSEF, which is the Georgia Scholastic Esports Foundation. It is a nonprofit. We are the NASEF affiliate for Georgia, which is North America Scholastic Esports Federation, of which I am a fellow for this academic school year. So I get to do a lot of really exciting things. Right now, we have 6 leagues serving just over 100 gamers on 51 teams, playing Knockout City, playing Brawlhalla, Rocket League, 10-minute chess. Just really excited to provide those games to the end users for free.
Well,
Free. Those are words we like.
I was going to say, as educators, we enjoy hearing that word free.
Yeah.
But before we get into it, though, can you say what NASEF stands for again?
Yeah. North America Scholastic Esports Federation. And it is truly a federation of affiliate programs, and GSEF being the Georgia affiliate. But you have like Garden State Esports, which is in New Jersey, and they have a tremendous
with Nick
program.
Taylor, right?
And Chris Aviles, really great leaders there in that space. And I am looking for, oh my gosh.
Charlie,
Charlie.
special guest. I love it.
Well, I guess we're gonna restart my recording. Honey bunny, there. Can you go back, please? Yeah. Thank you.
Oh no, we're keeping
I
this.
love
This
you.
is awesome. This
Love
is
you,
all.
baby.
We love it. Oh, that's super cute. That's
Oh,
hey,
sorry.
My kids have made their debut on here too. Don't feel bad, bro. That was awesome.
One guess as to what movie she's watching.
Enchanted. Encanto.
There you go.
Encanto, yes.
I love it. Sweet girl loves video games. I actually have a racing rig right here, and she loves driving race cars with daddy.
There we go.
But yeah, speaking to the free for educators thing, like I'm an educator myself. I'm an instructional designer for Forsyth County Schools. I build virtual curriculum. I build content. I build the esports course. I helped write the standards for the state of Georgia. We have no money. Like, we don't have money to pay for leagues, let alone, or I'm sorry, we don't have money to pay for machines and gaming equipment, let alone pay for a league. And so that's really what GSEF and NASEF as well are after, is how can we bridge the gap and provide opportunity for gamers, and give create this niche of scholastic gaming in an ecosystem that's already struggling, like especially right now, like COVID and school's tough, man, like covering classes and no planning periods, and you've got lunch duty and before school duty and after school duty because people are out.
All the duty.
You know, it's like crazy.
I have a question though. Okay, all right. So this is what my guys would ask you. If my players were if I was sitting in the room with my players, they'd go, well, you're offering all these games, but they sound like, kind of what Play VS is offering. Why not offer something that they're not offering? Where's the shooters?
Yeah, so we see the scholastic esports environment as a place that is playing video games that are school appropriate. And so what we have found, or what GSEF has concluded thus far, is that a first-person shooter is marginally inappropriate for schools, and without a state level Godot, like Georgia Department of Education, mandate or understanding, or maybe you could even say blessing, to do those types of games, we're not going to just go ahead and offer it. But what we are doing is we are choosing to lead the conversation and engaging with people at the state level to say these games are going unplayed by our gamers, while there are scholarships being offered to colleges and universities in our state to play these games. So if our gamers aren't playing them and they're offering scholarships for these games, kids from outside of our sphere of influence are theoretically going to be getting those scholarships. Now, that's not entirely true, because kids can play outside of school and that sort of stuff. But
it's true. I mean, it's just if you have no recognition, I think the bigger argument is, why not teach these kids how to play these games healthily in a healthy environment? That's the argument to be made.
See, my issue with it also is you have JROTC programs that have the kids practice with
like real rifles. And
We have on-site police training programs.
Mm-hmm.
And these
That'll
kids,
be-
yeah.
I was
So
just gonna say,
Oh, go ahead. Go ahead.
that's just a conversation for another day. You know, the impact of shooters and how we, in my personal opinion, and this is going to be unpopular with some people, but we should allow them to play them, because as we all know, first-person shooters do not make people violent. It's lag. We all know that lag is what
It's
makes
lag.
us violent.
Lag is the cause of all violence in gaming. Let's just be
latency.
Yeah. Oh, I got latency. Lag killed, Mom.
Yeah.
Taking her out. That's it.
We are formulating a solution that is scholastic gaming belongs in all of these secondary schools, middle school and high school. And the reason is we need to take the time and put in the effort to teach our gamers how to game responsibly, just like we do for our football players. What's been the biggest thing recently for concussions.
Yep.
So tackling, coaches going to relearn and going to tackling clinics to protect their children, to protect their players. We most definitely need to be doing the same thing for our scholastic gamers, for our gamers in general, because if we are not taking the opportunity to teach and coach them how to game responsibly, then we're missing an opportunity to create digital citizens. And that in itself is the only thing I think we need to be able to justify doing what is classified as a first-person shooter. Now, I will stay on the record that I draw the line at T for teen. I think that the games Call of Duty and a few of the others that are M for mature, I fully do not endorse them.
They're mature for other reasons other than just the violence on screen too.
Yes,
right.
We have to be. The storylines are not. Okay, you're talking to a guy that taught World of Warcraft in the classroom.
Yeah.
I was back 10 years ago. I used to teach the hero's journey. Why read the hero's journey when you can go on a hero's journey?
Mm-hmm.
So gaming in the classroom has never been an issue for me, but it's amazing how quickly this gets shut down as, oh, you just want to let kids play video games. I'm like, have you actually ever, done this? It's a lot of work. And if you actually teach the kids how to read in the game, digital literacy, digital citizenry, we would be reaching more kids. And I think that's the whole purpose here.
Well, I feel like kids need that anyway, because listen, we've come to that generation that's just grown up with technology. They're bathed in it, and they might not know like the true dangers of what they're doing every time they log into an app on their smartphone. So through gaming, we could teach them safer methods, and also maybe toxicity. Like I recently had a kid who was banned from an account, and now he can't play.
Yep. Yeah, that's a perfect segue into curriculum, right?
Yeah, I mean, let's get a curriculum. So you're designing some curriculum for gaming in the classroom.
Yeah, so I have an entire segment of my research, and I haven't even really put it out there fully yet because I haven't published it yet, but I have submitted it for copyright. And the title of the research is Fostering Resiliency in At-Risk Students Through Scholastic Gaming. And I do establish that at risk is all gamers at this point. All gamers are at risk of not getting the proper training that they need to be truly scholastic gamers, and become digital citizens in their realm of gaming. And it aligns with the curriculum that I'm writing and the content that I'm creating for the esports course here in Georgia, which was created. The course was actually officially released on May 21st, 2021. So less than a year ago, that course came to fruition, and I've been teaching it for this past school year, and we're rocking and rolling and creating content and doing some really cool stuff. You mentioned toxicity. There's an entire module on toxic gaming and defining it and taking time to build our own resiliency. So building our own gamer resiliency, so that we can not only deal with it ourselves, but learn how to avoid engaging in toxic behavior, because it's a fairly natural occurrence. And we need to make sure that we're teaching our students how to be positive gamers.
I'll also say it's worse if you're female. As a female who grew up in the 90s through Gamergate and all that fun stuff, that's something that still occurs that irritates me. So I think teaching not just males, but all students, that they do belong in this space and there's like a right way to interact with others is very important, because that could lead to a greater structural change in some of these communities.
Absolutely.
I've been playing League since 2009, kind of off and on. And for a while I quit just because of how toxic the environment got. And I don't want to expose some of my female students to that.
Yep. So I play Echo Arena and Pavlov VR at the master tier. And I play in the master league for it. So you could call me like a wannabe pro gamer. But all
right, folks, this is our wannabe pro gamer. All right.
Yep. There you go. Silly as it is. One of my team captain is a female, and the number one thing that I told her is that she deserves to be where she is, and anybody who wants to say or do anything to belittle her, we as a team will always stand up for her. And we see it. I mean, we'll roll into a lobby, it's in VR, so you're like, it's like floating avatar going through the lobby, and people will be like, oh, girl gamer or whatever, and they'll act a fool, and we immediately stand up to it. And that's what you have to do, but we're not standing up to it in a confrontational way. We are politely asking somebody to not act that way, and then explaining to them, like, hey, like, the way you're acting is not appropriate. Like, she's here just like we are, and you're acting crazy. We're just going to ask you politely to stop. Like, okay, thanks. But I'll tell you that, like, in matches, I totally understand. Like, it's ridiculous. And it's something that we have, as leaders in the gaming space, we have to take a stand on and say, we are not going to stand for this in our league. GSEF does not stand for this in our league. We have it written in our bylaws, like toxicity in gaming is going to be addressed. Here's the protocol. If we can't come to a resolution, and if the gamer can't prove that they're going to kind of move on from this situation and be better themselves, then we're going to ask them to leave the league.
Don't we have, I appreciate what you're doing. Please understand what I'm asking here is that don't we need to demand more out of our pro leagues then? Because I think a lot of that negative behavior is the players themselves in these professional leagues.
Yep.
And I'm a huge pro league fan, don't get me wrong, but the environment is bred from that. Let's just say it starts at the top on this one.
Yeah, absolutely. And furthermore, the streaming platforms as well, your Twitch and your YouTube, whatever, acting crazy, being
getting clicks,
clickbait. Yeah. I mean, it's clickbait at that point. And teaching our gamers to avoid consumption of those channels, because by just consuming it, you are supporting them and supporting their behavior, and you should not be doing that.
I feel like the women's voices are just silenced sometimes in these communities, because high school, middle school, it's a very hard time for anybody, and you're struggling with a lot of things. And, it's just heartbreaking when a student has kind of found a place where they belong in the gaming community, only for that to be like utterly destroyed by other people. And, I wish I could tell you that it's gotten better, but it hasn't. And I don't know if other females experience this, but I still get like just horrible, atrocious DMs if I'm playing a multiplayer game. And it's even worse if you're female and have a Southern accent, because that's a double whammy.
Bless you. I can only imagine. To further address this, one thing that I have done explicitly is recruit female coaches. So I have 3 female middle school coaches, and I have one high school female coach. So one of my varsity coaches is a female coach. And I work with them hand in hand to help build their programs and help build a more inclusive model. I do that with all of my coaches, but I especially focus focus my work and effort on those programs with the female coaches, because they're going to be able to attract more of the female gamers and a more diverse group of gamers, or at least that's been my experience. So getting them the support they need, even just IT support, even if it's just as simple as that. But we've had tremendous success building much more diverse programs in those schools with the female coaches. So it's definitely it's really cool. And they have our GSEF championships for middle school gaming last semester. 2 of the 3 titles were won by one of my female coaches. So she's doing a fantastic job building amazing gamers.
All right, so okay, we've heard about your league. Tell us why you're an alternative to Play VS or Play Versus. Whoops, I did it. Oh, I did it. I did it again.
I don't know what I'm calling it. Have to plan. We talked to Aaron from Play
Versus.
Yeah,
yep, we did. Yeah, I got you doing it
because I've heard it pronounced both ways, but it's officially Play Versus.
Yes, I believe you are correct. No,
we got it straight from them. Stop calling us Play VS. We're like,
yeah,
yes, okay.
Yeah. Okay, Play VS. I mean,
shots fired.
Totally not an alternative. We don't really want to be an alternative.
Okay.
Because we can't be. They have a contract with NFHS, National Federation. They officially hold the varsity key. That's great. We just see an opportunity to provide more opportunities, especially for programs that are coming online, but are more in that club mentality. They're not really ready for a full-fledged team. Maybe they just have some new Rocket League players, or maybe they only have a couple kids literally, and so they're going to try Brawlhalla, playing 1v1, or maybe they just want to do some of the other alternative games, and they're not quite ready to do the league thing. GSEF's there to support them as well. So we help them find games that are going to be good for their program and get them the things that they need to get set up.
So you would say, can we label, if we created a label, maybe an off-season club program, like you have in many other sports like soccer and softball, baseball, basketball, outside of football, everybody pretty much has a club sport. Yep. So would you consider yourselves the club version?
Yeah, I think that's a pretty good assessment. Obviously we're just a nonprofit out there providing some leagues, but I think club is a great description for what we do.
Clubs are needed. I mean, it's nothing wrong with being a club, especially with opportunities for esports, like you said, because let's all be honest. And you're in Forsyth County, the dreaded Forsyth County, the wall, the wall that is Forsyth, that is for me. And I'm here in Pickens County. And we can both talk about, we know that after us and a few other teams, especially in Rocket League, the competitive level, it's a big drop. There's 2 or 3 school systems that rule, let's say, Rocket League.
Yeah, Dodge County is not one of them.
Not because of the lack of coaching, no. Come on, Ashley. Come on. All right. So but again, there's no place for kids who are not at the GC level. I mean, if you're not GC2, might as well not be playing in the playoffs.
And it's sad, that they pay money and then, they just, like with League of Legends, some of my new League of Legends teams, and I'm not trying to diss them, but they stood no chance. They just absolutely stood no chance. And then, they might get matched up against a team of platinums and just get annihilated and emotionally devastated.
Yeah. Yep.
Hey, losing is a great teacher. Okay. I'm kidding. All right, keep going.
I know what that's like, and it is not fun. It is what it is, but I think that there's an opportunity to create something that better serves those communities. And that's what we want to do. Again, I think we said it earlier, but GSEF's we don't want to do all the games, and we really don't want to be competition with Play VS because they have something important that they're doing, but we see something also that's important that we can do in parallel, and maybe have a mutualistic relationship, but offering that maybe JV option or the club option where it's the highly competitive teams are going to stay with the varsity programs and the varsity programming. But we can offer that alternative option that is a little more fun. And I would love to get some teams that want to group themselves together in a game, and they sign up with GSEF with a game that we can offer. And I can do that. I can create a custom group just for a set of schools that want to play each other. Like if you wanted to do Rocket League, but you only wanted to play these 5 teams, it's easy. All you got to do is sign up, and I'll create the group, and you'll only play each other. And that's great.
So how are schools going to avoid any conflicts with the GHSA there, the Georgia High School Association, or any of their in any of the NFHS schools? Because we do know that there are rules that we have to follow. And again, I'm not saying it's GSEF's fault. I'm not saying GHSA's fault. I'm just saying the reality of the situation here.
Yeah, I don't know if there's really precedence there. We've looked at the bylaws for GHSA, and there's a lot to be said about things like basketball, for example, an in-season athlete
versus out of season,
and playing on an AAU basketball team. Like, right. Is that allowed or is it not allowed?
It's this.
And so if GHSA expressed discomfort with what's going on, then we would have a conversation and figure it out. And, okay, we understand, sometimes bylaws don't really make a whole lot of sense, and there's not a whole lot written about esports. So I think if we stand on the podium or whatever, take the stance of, we don't want to take gamers away from Play VS. We don't want to take gamers away from GHSA. We just we're here to supplement and provide that extra opportunity for them. The classic conflict in this space is Play VS and HSCL. So if you have a varsity program playing in Play VS and in High School Esports League, is that a conflict? I mean, certainly if they're going to play,
the GHSA would say yes, they are.
So I haven't. That's not in the bylaws. So if it's not in the bylaws,
it is in the bylaws for all sports for Georgia high schools. It's not for esports specific, but all sports. Only Georgia High School Association schools can participate in sports with Georgia High School Association schools, and you only can participate in state-sponsored leagues. That's straight across. That's GHSA. So
gotcha.
That's that. Now look. Now this is where the out is though, and Ashley, I think you agree with me. We're 1 season proponents with the change that needs to happen. Is that esports needs 1 season for each of the games.
Sure. We're year round, and we understand why we're
rough.
Year round. But a lot of coaches aren't being compensated for that. Not that that's any blame on the schools, but education funding, whatever. So I really like the idea of having a club, because if I have new gamers coming in and they're not very good, they could do the club, and then maybe their junior year actually move into play versus
varsity level.
Versus immediately starting out and just getting creamed and not having a very enjoyable experience. I could see a school running both, because certain schools, like my own, they want that state-sponsored league because they want kids to compete, which is fine. I have no problem with it. But if I've got a new person who's never played Smash before, I don't necessarily know if they want to sign up to just be bulldozed into the ground. Maybe they need to start with Brawlhalla and then migrate up to Smash.
Yep. Yeah, absolutely.
Well, I mean, I think another issue, and you can address this, is maybe having, it's not being year round like any other sport. You may have to play year round, but you don't need a state sanctioned league year round. So that way, that's where the clubs come in and fill the gap. Like you said, AAU and during basketball season, ODP for soccer. We just keep going. The different levels of even club out there for it. Right now, I see you guys as a solution to a problem for a lot of us esports coaches, is that it's hard to do this from September to May. It really is. It's just it's a lot of work.
Yeah, absolutely. And we see that, and that's the feedback we get from coaches. And so just trying to create that solution, put it in place. And sometimes you got to kind of just push it out there and see what happens.
What is your most popular title?
Rocket League, hand over hand Rocket League. I mean, we've got 35 or 37 total teams between high school and middle school.
That's awesome. Especially with the fact that you're dealing with a sport that Play Versus and GHSA also have. So do you run any conflicts there? Do y'all ever any conflicts with that situation, or y'all just play at different times? Or
play different times. We play on Wednesdays. So Rocket League plays on Wednesdays. HSCL is on Tuesday and Thursday, and Play Versus is on Thursday.
Thursday.
Yeah, so
Thursday
there's
at 4 p.m.
I was going to say there are like 4 games this Thursday at 4 p.m. There's Rocket League, Hearthstone,
Mario
Kart.
Yeah, Mario Kart. Excuse me. Yeah, Mario Kart. Yeah.
Well, I hope you don't want to play more than one.
Oh, trust me, the Mario Kart. Okay, we can have some fun with this. My Rocket Leaguers wanted to play Mario Kart so bad it wasn't even funny. Yep. And them being both at the same time. I got an earful.
I had 3 kids sign up for Mario Kart, and I could never get that 4th one, even though we had like Switches, so they wouldn't even have to buy a Switch. Like, I didn't understand. I have more Smash players now than I've ever had. Like, that number has grown, but no Rocket League. I mean, not Rocket League. Maybe not a Rocket League team. We'll have to see. No League of Legends team. It's just Smash and Madden.
See, my league. I'm throwing it out here because PK, you've said it. My league team, my League of Legends team collapsed, and I've had so many friends have the same problem, is because the learning curve.
Yep.
To get good. Now you can get good at Rocket League in a year and a half.
Yeah.
You can't get good at League of Legends in that time. You just can't. I mean,
unless you're studying it.
Full time.
Like you got a sensei and you're
right.
You're like focusing on that. Yeah.
Master, please teach me your way. Yeah. No, I get that. Yes.
Teach me the ways of the build.
And again, I guess League of Legends being one of the titles that has that exclusivity with Play Versus. We spoke earlier about Smite. Smite's one of those games that could potentially fit that gap if Play Versus.
That'd be a huge help.
And GHSA don't continue that, because it's kind of up in the air right now as to what's going to happen with it. But being GSEF, being a Georgia nonprofit, it would be fantastic to work with High Res Studios to offer a Smite championship and us like a High Res trophy. Like High Res sponsors this GSEF league, and you want a Smite trophy? Here you go. Hey
guys, and we're also going to help you learn how to play League of Legends on the way, because Smite is 3D League of Legends. Let's just there's nothing wrong with saying that. I mean, it's a good game. I like it.
Skill in one translates really well to skill in another. So it would be great. And kind of the same thing goes for Brawlhalla. We would really like to form a relationship with Blue Mammoth and kind of do the same thing there. We don't want exclusivity. That's wrong. Like we don't want that, but we just want that official permission and say like, hey, in Georgia, if you play, if you're playing Brawlhalla and you win a championship, like here's the middle school Brawlhalla championship trophy. Here's the high school Brawlhalla Blue Mammoth trophy. Like, yay. Like, that's awesome. Cause the gamers would be hyped about that. And I think that would lead them to sign up and want to play, knowing that they're going to get a trophy from the game developer and be crowned a champion.
All right. Can I go full circle here with just a little bit? Because I didn't want to get to the end and have to throw in a last minute question or something. It's something that's been hitting me just a little bit. We've talked about it as an esports coach, Ashley, an esports coach. We understand the importance of esports, but okay, I'm putting my parent hat on. Dad here's coming in the room. Dad's going, why do I need esports in the classroom? Well, what's the benefit am I getting out of this for my kid?
So esports in the classroom is that like fear factor for a lot of teachers, a lot of educators, and especially school administrators. Like they're, you want to do what? Like you want to play video games in the classroom? And it's like, yes, we want that. We've already kind of hit on taking the opportunity to teach our gamers how to be responsible digital citizens, right? Like that digital citizenship piece is so important. We need them to be able to do that. But for the same reason we put our children on football teams and soccer teams and volleyball teams, we put them there to work together, to learn, team skills, and to build communication and physical and mental exercise. Like, those are all things that we use traditional sports for.
Those are after school activities,
right?
Why during the day?
So what you can do is you can then take that mentality and build it into content and curriculum that is supported by the state of Georgia in academic pursuits. One being the esports course, another being the game design pathways for CTAE, and then middle school computer science curriculum lends itself extremely well to using video games as the context to teach middle school computer science. Specifically for me, it's MSCS1 and MSCS2, middle school computer science 1 and 2.
Right.
Perfectly prepared, perfectly ready to be taught in the context of video games, and using those video games to teach students how to play. And by hooking them, getting them into the classroom and teaching them how to play video games and teaching them how to make video games, now we're connecting them with those 21st century skills that are really hard to teach anywhere else. In any other context, it's really hard to push a student to develop a video game and prepare a presentation on the narrative that they wrote for their video game. How many kids want to write a narrative? Not many. But when they're writing a narrative that's about a video game and that they've created, it's very powerful. And that ties directly into playing video games in a scholastic sense. So using that video game to actually teach. And one of the games that I used to teach at Gateway Academy is Knockout City. So it is virtual dodgeball. And we use it to teach things like teamwork. We use it to teach things like communication skills. But as I mentioned in my research before, I use it to teach resiliency. We use the video game to coach our reactions, to guide our reactions. So I'm coaching them on how they react to adverse situations in the video game, so that I'm coaching their actions in order to guide their reactions. Because in real life, if we get tilted in a video game, in real life, we're gonna react to things that way. We're gonna get tilted in IRL. But if we learn how to be resilient thinkers, when we deal with an adverse situation in real life, and we've gone through training on how to deal with that in a video game, it translates, and that it's up in that prefrontal cortex when they're what is it, the amygdala, when they respond and it's fight, flight, or freeze, their big brain can take over and say, like, let's think about this a little bit. Maybe I shouldn't go off right now, because in that video game class, I learned about like how I should react to situations. So I think there's tons of opportunity, and really it's only limited by what we're willing to do in the classroom.
Okay, so no disagreement with 99.9% of what you said. I'm going to have some fun with you on this one, though. Esports and video games. Well, now what are we talking about? Because there is a difference.
Both. So we play competitively. So like in the classroom, we'll play competitively. We also play casually in the same games. So there's maybe two sides to the same coin. We also
I just have to be careful with the interchangeability here, because we get a lot of grief as esports coaches, right, Ashley?
Yeah.
About this, about it, we don't like to use those terms interchangeably here on the esports report. Please have some fun with this. We're just
absolutely.
But what do you define as an esport? Give us your definition of an esport.
Yeah, in my context, an esport is going to be something, that a video game that you're playing competitively, something that you're pushing and either playing to get a ranking, or you're playing towards like a championship, or you're playing towards like individual accolades. I think like 10-minute chess is one of those that's like really in this like gray area of esport, or at least to me it is, because a lot of the like teamwork and communication stuff is lacking there, but it still takes a very competitive gamer to win in an esports in a competitive chess tournament, right? So that's an example there. But Knockout City in the classroom, we are playing competitively. They have a team. They are either playing other people in the class, depending on the lesson plan, or they're jumping into the competitive street ball and, you know, balling out with whoever, whatever teams are available that have similar MMR. We've also looked at doing several other games, one of them being No Man's Sky. That's pretty much just a video game, right? Like there's no competitive league for it. There's no real leaderboards for it. So that would kind of fall fully into that video game category, where something like Knockout City in class, Rocket League in class, those are going to be, we're treating those more as an esport, even though these students specifically aren't playing in leagues, like for in class, but they are playing for rank. They are playing for that status.
So you would say you're adding elements of gamification, your classic gamification, and adding elements such as, you know, the old school classroom dojo, and then adding a gaming element to both of those, right?
Yeah, the lesson is based on a video game. I mean, it's
right
playing the game.
Because I was going to say that distinction for us, I think, is very important, because we're still struggling now to get acceptance for team-based sports. Mm-hmm. So it would be hard to push with the current climates, like, you know, your admin walk in and all the kids playing No Man's Sky, and you're like, what are you doing?
Yeah, right.
We're all about it. Our definition, as what we've decided at the beginning as an esport, is anything that's team-based that you're having to achieve to. And one of our biggest complaints about some of the games lately has been it's all about individualism. And so to me, it's the track versus soccer argument. Mm-hmm. You know, am I just running for myself, or am I, you know, running with a team? So yeah,
I can win a state championship in track myself, right, but my team is like 31st in the league.
Exactly.
Like, yeah. Right. So I hope that it was apparent that we're in agreement there. Like, no.
Yeah. I'm just doing it just to keep people educated. Again, not you're doing anything wrong. I'm doing anything wrong.
Just making sure. Like, if I need to correct my definition, I will.
Our definition.
Erase it.
We'll go back. All right, listen. PK wants to. All right, we need to go back. No kidding. Again, it's just all about the debate about what an esport is. Because when I won state for the first time, I'll never forget. Head of Fox 5 News Sports came out and says, "Well, I'm gonna have to break out my Donkey Kong," and I'm going, "Not the same thing, bro. Not same thing. Not quite the same thing, man." I mean, I'm all about some speed runs. Don't get me wrong.
Yeah,
all about some speed runs. I mean, so
it's just it's a fine walk to a line to walk when you're dealing with people who, you know, their last game was Donkey Kong or Tetris. Yeah. We really have to make that distinct argument for them, for people who are kind of on the fence about gaming who listen to this, because we really want to just, you know, have more children involved in a positive, safe environment. That's really our goal. And education.
Let me go full geek on this, have a little fun with it with my other podcast, the geeky side. And I think this is kind of like Marvel in 2008. Iron Man, we're Iron Man. All right, we got Iron Man, we've launched Iron Man, and no one else is into the Marvel universe except us comic book nerds. And so everybody's going, oh, those won't last. And now in 2022, there's not a movie that's successful that doesn't have Marvel ahead of it. Everybody reads comic. I think gaming is heading in that direction.
Sure.
I think just like, you know, comic books for the 50s and 60s, or for this generation, you know, growing up, it's okay to read a comic book. It's going to be okay to game, which is really funny to me as someone who's been gaming since the 70s. You know, I'm 47 years old and have been gaming since 1978. You know, so
back when it was uncool and you got bullied for it in the 90s.
I did not get bullied for it. We may have bullied some, but I may have been the toxic environment. I'm sorry. Okay, no, I'm kidding, of course. But yeah, I think that's where we're going to be in, say, 10 years, is that, you know, during the pandemic, I mean, esports was on ESPN. And as Ashley has brought up, you know, multiple times, and that's where it's heading. I think we're going to have more of these kids. More kids are playing esports, and they're going to be playing football. basketball, soccer.
Well, I also wanted to say, you know, if you're a professional athlete, you're on a very limited career. Like, you know, football, I know that Brady is the longest, but not everybody has that long of a career. So, you know, it would be nice, it would be interesting. I mean, not that they need the money, but to see them pivot into like professional
Playing
esports Madden. Why not?
Oh, one of my favorite things, and I don't know if you all remember this, was ESPN used to host that Madden show where they'd get NFL players to play.
Yeah.
And it was a lot, and they'd getting them to play pro esports athletes.
Yeah.
And
That's
it
awesome.
was competitive. It was competitive. They it got mean. It was good. I mean, and I think that's, you know, actually hit on a point. That'd be great. Like post-career, do this.
I would love to see professional football players play professional Madden esports players. Like who is the best now?
Yeah. Yep.
Well, if you during the lockdown at Disney, NBA 2K was a reason why some of them survived. The interviews with NBA players about the 2K tournaments that they ran were fascinating. They were more competitive about that than the games they were playing at night.
Yeah, so funny. It's true.
But I mean, what do you see as the future?
I definitely see this. I feel like the entire Scholastic Esports realm looks a lot like social media did in 2006.
Another good parallel. Yeah, another good parallel.
You know, there's lots of players. None of them really have a whatever silver bullet.
No one's Facebook yet, is what you're saying.
Yeah, no one's Facebook yet. I think that there'll be some mergers. I think there'll be some come, some go. But there'll be one or two that kind of, break out as the leaders. And, I truly believe it's going to be the ones that have the best customer service, the best gamer experience. And so, it's up to them. It's up to these big players in the industry to choose what's best and to follow through on those things and to create the opportunities that our students need. And, one of the biggest things is going to be curriculum, bringing engaging content and curriculum to the Scholastic Esports space. Like we said, kind of segueing from what we were just talking about, where does it belong in the classroom? We kind of haven't defined that yet. And we need these big players to really step up and deliver a product that, this is it. Here it is, aligned to standards for your state or for, these national standards. And here's how you can take your esports coach and plug them into the classroom and create this really valuable course that your students are going to want to take and learn all these amazing things about everything about the esports industry. And, you love networks, you love building, you think the setup of a LAN tournament is really inspiring and you want to do that, go open your own LAN center. You're really good at using Canva and you want to learn how to use Adobe Illustrator so that you can start doing graphic designs and web development. Awesome. Go start your own web dev business. All these things can easily get started, in an esports classroom.
I see this being really tied into the audio engineering pathway as well. If you really get into the development side, the production side of esports is lacking. I mean, the professional streams. Sorry, guys, you're not that good. Let's just. I mean, the broadcasters aren't. They're not at their top level broadcasters because they're still aimed at television right now.
Yep.
But I would really like to see some of our bigger voices come in and call an esports match.
Yep. And
create a high level esports match, which looks where it feels like the competitive level that we've seen is.
Yep. Yeah, absolutely.
I'll say one of my two concerns that I have as, Scholastic Esports continues to expand is one, I'm very worried about the big providers and the small providers clashing and that doing irreparable damage to the community that all of us are kind of trying to build. And, because there's a lot of people stepping in for esports and I'm just worried about that clashing. And I'm also worried about them clashing, like smaller companies like what you have in Garden State Esports clashing with the state athletic associations. Because, you know, some of the bylaws, like there's not a lot of esports information on GHSA, but the larger bylaws do apply to it. Based on my conversations with them, they've kind of made that clear. So I'm just worried about schools, specifically like the last two I've been at, where they're like, you have to use Play Versus. And if I try to use something like on the side, like Garden State Esports or the HSEL, am I going to get in trouble and sanctioned and my program shut down for that? Those are just two of like my major concerns about all these players coming into the Scholastic Esports.
Yeah, and I think that defining where the separation between a team and a club resides, that would be some clarification that we would want to see. And we're not trying to break the rules. We just need some guidance. And certainly in this realm, like esports for GHSA has some esports specific rules. Why can't we get a committee together and spell out like, hey, if you have a varsity program, you have to fit like at least one varsity team for like any of the sanctioned varsity sports. And then beyond that, you can have a club, and your club can't participate in that varsity esport. So like you can have a Rocket League team varsity, but you can't have any club Rocket League teams.
Or even better off, I mean, if let's say there's a community leader, just like you do in any other club sport, the high school soccer coach doesn't go and coach a fall team of his team. That's illegal coaching. But if I get Jerry, my buddy, to go do it, it's okay. And I need that. I need you, who's not, I know you're affiliated with schools. I'm just using my buddy PK is coaching my Rocket League team in the fall and in the club environment. And in the spring, he hands me a team that's polished and ready to go.
Yep.
And just like we do with just about 90% of all sports.
I just think clarification is important for that.
Yeah.
Yes.
And we're ready to go to the table and hash it out, because we know what we want to do. And we want to support the gamers. We want to support the coaches. So like whatever we can do to help that. That does bring up one really cool thing that's happened recently. I've been working with Forsyth County Park and Rec department, and we have opened our first gaming arena with the Park and Rec. And I'm working with Roswell Park and Rec as well, and a couple others who are still like in the really early planning stages. But we're probably going to be opening a second one. I shouldn't say probably. I'm going to be pushing for them to open a second one here in Forsyth County, and I think they will. So we can have park and rec, like rec leagues for these esports programs to provide even more opportunity for these scholastic gamers, but also our community of gamers.
How about Richie? No, sorry, go ahead.
You and I alike, like we would be able to use it as well.
Oh, wow. I don't know about you. My region could definitely use that. Anywhere in North Georgia could.
Yep.
Have you thought about reaching out to the Boys and Girls Club Association?
Yeah. So through an organization, CX Community, they have been working that angle, and actually I've been working with them to help kind of get some things together. And I'm hoping to do more with them going forward. They work with the HBCUs and the HBCU League, Esports League. And so like from that angle as well, trying to make sure that we are doing everything we can to support all gamers. My league is not supporting all gamers at all, and we won't rest until it does. But what we know is that if we don't start somewhere, nothing will ever change. And that's kind of where we're at. Like we're just pushing the ball down the court.
Well, I think it's good work that you're doing, PK. We really do appreciate having you on the Esports Report. Ashley, you got anything else?
No, dude, except I like your shirt.
I do too. I do too. Well, PK, any closing words for us, pal?
You just want to encourage everybody to get out there and play some play some video games and never forget that we pick up a controller or we hit that WASD to have fun. And too often we forget that fun component. And I tell my gamers every time at the end, hey, this is Coach Graff saying, stay positive out there, gamers.
Stay positive, Coach PK. We love it, brother.
Yeah.
Take it easy, man. And you know
Yeah.
what? If you could, like, kneecap a few Forsyth County people for me.
And you know what I'm doing with that middle school league.
I know. You're bringing it. You're bringing it.
I'm
I'm
making
here.
gamers.
Hey, guess what? You're going to hear from mine. Okay, so here we go. It really is great talking to you. Thanks for coming on the Esports Report. Take care, PK.
Sounds good. Peace.
All right, everybody. That was our interview with PK Graff, commissioner of a nonprofit esports league, which has potential. Sounds awesome. Now we're going to get to our personal favorite segment, Minute of Rage.
And I've got some rage. Listen, Aaron at Play VS, this is aimed at you a little bit. Not the rage, but I want you to hear me. Small schools matter. Small schools matter. I am featured on your video at the end of your stuff on your website. Small schools matter. 1A, AA, AAA, quad A schools, we matter. And you don't seem to care. Esports doesn't seem to care about small schools. Ashley, do you see that? Am I wrong? Do they not care about us?
I feel like it's not just play versus, but it's just a lot of them. Well, because it's an easier sell, right? To sell the big, awesome school versus a teeny tiny school. But we need divisions. We need to divide us up because
we need classifications.
Small schools do matter.
It does. But small schools matter. And you know what? Guess what? That's where the kids are, predominantly in smaller schools. We have more schools 1 through 4A than we have in 5, 6, and 7A. Let's aim it. Let's get some money out there. Let's get some hope out there. Because some of these are coming from rural communities, poor communities, that these kids need opportunities. Because we say it all the time, small colleges matter. We need, if that is true, guess what? Show us the effort. Show us the effort, show us the money, and more importantly than anything else, show us your time and consideration. That's my minute of rage, folks. It probably wasn't even a minute because, buddy, when I get worked up, I rage.
And I just want to say that goes out to anybody interested in esports in the scholastic space, GHSA, HSEL, play.
The National Scholastic. Come on, you got it.
Hold on, the National Scholastic Federation.
Esports Federation.
Anyway,
right, yes.
Play VS, all of them. All of them, everybody. This is not just one call out, but you really need to understand how important small schools are and just how limited our resources are compared to larger schools.
Right.
Like, in our interview, and I'm not knocking Forsyth County, but they're talking about building esports.
Park and rec leagues.
Which is really smart, really cool. And
I'm fighting for a computer.
I just don't know if you can replicate that in a smaller community. Maybe you can, I don't know, but I just know that I feel like small schools have more limitations than big schools. And again, I'm not knocking anybody. Like, I think that's fantastic. That's going to draw in a lot of kids, and I'm not trying to be insulting in any way.
Well, I also want to say, I would jokingly called out Aaron. Aaron's awesome. And he, he's come on here. He knows it's all in fun. And Aaron, I know you care about us. I really do. I just want everybody. I want the attention shown on some smaller schools, because right now when we get to state, it's the Pauldings, the Forsyths, the Fultons, the Gwinnett's, and I'm going Pickens. We're not super small. We're not super big, but we'll give you everything we got twice. Come on, bring it. And just show the attention to the smaller schools. Let them know that they do matter when it comes to competition. Because right now, until the GSA breaks up into classifications and where we have comparably sized schools playing against one another, there's never going to be any limelight for my students or for Ashley's. Because I believe you're at a AA high school. Am I correct, Ashley?
Yes, I went from a very large
6A?
school.
You went from a 6A, right?
To a very tiny school. So I've had experience on both ends of the spectrum with esports. And I'll go ahead and tell you, it is vastly different. You know, at my old school, I had anything I could possibly want for my esports program. And at my new school, it's a different story just because, you know, the
And it's
funding
not because they don't want it. It's not because
Yeah.
they don't want it.
Right.
It's because they can't. And that's the difference. I think that's where, you know, I'm glad that we have console gaming now, you know, and we heard some, you know, detractors on that. And I get it. I understand where he's coming from, but at the same time, it allowed my kids to play. It's allowed my kids to play, because if it was just gaming PCs, we would never be competitive if it was only just gaming PCs. So, and I am honestly one of the better funded programs because of the donors and stuff that I've had, and the money that I've raised, and the support of administration. But I know schools are going, you got any chewing gum to put that computer back together, you know, that kind of situation.
And also, we talked about that in a previous episode, where if you're in a smaller community, the sponsors are just limited.
They're not there. They're just not there because they're trying to get the most. And again, small towns need to get the most bang for their buck, and putting the sign up at the football game is a lot better than, you know, posting it in, you know, on the soccer field as a former soccer coach. I mean, it's just the way it works. You know, small sports matter. Small schools matter. All things small matter. Okay. All right. So
we just want to bring awareness
Yes.
for people who like don't understand, because again, it's not necessarily that it's any company's fault. It's not necessarily that it's the school's fault that the funding isn't there. It's the reality of what most of us face. And I think people need to know that.
I think they do too. And we're going to be interviewing some coaches here soon. I think our next episode is a coach interview, and then hopefully reaching out to the Garden State, New Jersey. Here we come. Georgia's coming for you. The esports report's coming for you. Ashley, this has been great. Have a great evening.
As always, guys, like, subscribe, email, rate our show, comment, engage with us in some capacity, because I feel like I'm talking to the void.
And wait, Ashley, you got to do it. Say it.